Now, if you listen very closely, that noise coming from corporate media, coming from all those pundits, coming from all those PR firms for the billionaire hacks, they're scared. They're terrified. As they should be. This is the one time, it's actually really amazing. This is the one time where not the elites, right? Not the people you see on TV who are saying, "Oh, but pity the poor billionaire. He left behind a wife and child." Yeah, they weren't living with him because even they didn't want to be around him, okay? But man, the left and the right, holy crap. There's been like a class awakening here of who the real enemy in America is. And it is the elites. It is the billionaires. I mean, it's like that Star Wars when The Force Awakens came out. The trailer's like, "There has been an awakening. Can you feel it?" That's kind of what's happening here. This is a really bizarre and at the same time fascinating time in our country's history. So, before we move on to that, a little sip of my drink. This is eggnog and Jack Daniel's honey whiskey. It's my go-to during the holidays. I absolutely love this drink. It's the honey whiskey and the eggnog is just a perfect blend. Although it looks like I'm drinking a certain type of male fluid. That's good. So, if you ever want a good holiday drink, highly recommend it. It's called a whiskey nog. Some people add like a little bit of cinnamon in there and stuff. If you make it really strong with like 1-in-1 of whiskey and eggnog, cinnamon can help kind of take the bite off of it. But I do like a 1.5/2 to 1 on it. So, and by that I mean 2 shots of whiskey and 1 part eggnog. No, I'm kidding. That would actually kill me. So, the story of this Luigi Mangione guy continues to be, I was going to say it's unique, but actually his struggle really isn't. It's not one of a kind, it's not unique, but it stands out. Because this is a dude from a wealthy elite background, came from money, came from wealth, went to an Ivy League school. Parents were in real estate, ran their own company. And it's really fascinating that even people on his level of wealth are crushed and exploited and manipulated by the healthcare industry. So, man, you know how Trump is always saying, if they can do it to me, hey, if they can arrest me for hiding nuclear documents, the nuclear documents that you have in your garage, you would also get caught, right? That whole thing. But this is true. If they can harm this guy who's, I think his grandfather or maybe an uncle or someone was a pretty well-known local politician, if even that kind of power can be completely disregarded by something as vast as as vast and titanic as the healthcare industry, what chance do we the people have? That's something. I mean, that's a lot, right? And now a whole bunch of other details are coming out. So he had a back injury, couldn't do anything really physical, and then there's like really kind of embarrassing stuff coming out that he couldn't even be intimate with a woman because he was in so much pain. You know, there was certainly fucking no cowgirl for this guy, right? That's brutal. I mean, it's one thing for these incel losers to be like, not being able to meet someone because they're disgusting, filthy animals. And it's another thing for this dude who is an absolute thirst trap right now for women, who, I'm sure had his opportunities with women, and he couldn't make use of them. That's fucking rough. I mean, no wonder you push someone to the brink so much, and yeah, this is what happens. And so the left and the right are so united on this that it's like, yeah, the bad person was actually the person that got offed, right? He was the bad person. I mean, this CEO guy, I'm sure most people watching this are already aware, had a algorithm that would deny 90% of the claims that came their way. So, like, yeah, no wonder that they became this League of Evil villain from the DC universe. Is it any surprise? And the reaction, again, from the elites, from the pundits, is amazing. I mean, Fox Fake News has been all over this. There was a clip from Laura Ingraham just the other day where she's like, and this guy, this Luigi Mangione, total evil villain, he is Satan incarnate. And you should never, ever, ever hurt and definitely not off another human being. Coming up next, Daniel Penny, the man who offed a homeless man. It's so clear who the elites like Fox Fake News and all these pundits talking on the airwaves saying that, yeah, you shouldn't be harming these folks that have money, but these other folks, acquitted. That's the root of the problem here, is that violent attacks are viewed as not a big deal. But then systematic, statewide, corporate violence, people who are discriminated and blackballed from industries, for disabilities, for, demographics, for being a person of color, those kind of, and then they end up being homeless and the state punishes them and end up living on the street. And then eventually, they kind of just, they pass. That's all acceptable to these people in power. What's not acceptable is challenging them. And they are scared, make no mistake. They are terrified. And frankly, they should be. Now, let's be clear on something. It's violence is never the answer. It's never the solution. And we should not be wanting vigilante violence in this country. That said, when it happens to truly evil people, like this Brian Thompson, let's be more concerned and have feelings for the concrete he landed on rather than the man himself, right? Like, was there a crack in the concrete? I hope that didn't happen. That should be the perspective here. That should be the takeaway. We should not feel empathy or sympathy towards these people who have made their billions off of putting people like you and I on the streets and in pain, and sometimes offing us entirely. But again, they off us through passive means, right? Where we just kind of, our bodies just shut down and expire, or we can't afford food, we can't afford rent, and we expire that way. We are exposed to the conditions because we're homeless. We expire that way. That is acceptable violence. But what's happening now, that to them is not okay. And you can see how terrified they are, because rather than fix the problems within the healthcare industry, I did a sketch on this, the takeaway from the elites has been they need to hire their own private militia. That's the takeaway. For them, anyways. And it's been amazing to see the kind of trial and as it's unfolding here. His lawyer is, for Luigi Mangione, is saying that he's going to plead not guilty. It's hard to say if that's really kind of like what he's going to do, or if it's just public posturing for the cameras, kind of like people puff out their chest and be like, yeah, I'll totally fight you. In high school, I'll fight you, man. Yeah, you think you're tough, I'll fight you. And then they meet you in the hallways afterwards like, hey, so like, can we not? Maybe he's actually just trying to posture to get to dumb down the charges, to get a plea deal, whatever. Or maybe he will plead not guilty. I mean, it seems like there's a reasonable case for that, because there's no actual evidence that this guy that they caught was the person there. I mean, sure, there's video footage and this, and maybe they can kind of link together the pieces, but we didn't actually see his face at the scene of the crime, right? The guy was masked the whole time. He wore a hood, so who knows? And again, the jury is not going to be sympathetic to this Brian Thompson guy, so we'll see what happens. But then you also have people wanting to pay the lawyer said that folks are offering to pay Luigi's legal bills, right? And now they were just showing footage outside the jail where the people in the jail with Luigi Mangione are shouting to the news cameras. They're saying, let him go, he should be free, and all this other stuff. I mean, this is even the other prisoners want the guy to go free. Like, this has been, the real Americans, the actual people that make this country work. People working in food services, people working in construction, the us, right? The ones that actually make this country work. Are you pretty unanimous in this that the guy was a horrible POS? Sure, maybe he shouldn't have been off, but something had to be done. And another poster I was seeing on, I think, Blue Sky was saying that, like, one dude with this gun changed more about the healthcare industry than decades of protests. So the elites are scared, and that's good. It sounds terrible, but that's good, because we're scared every single day. We walk outside, we don't know what kind of violence is going to happen to us. I mean, black folks can't even go to a supermarket without a MAGA terrorist coming after them, right? Jewish folks, same thing. They go to synagogue, not a Nazi terrorist is waiting for them there. We don't know what's waiting around the corner. We can't even go to a movie theater these days without people trying to pop off. So it's poetic justice that these billionaire criminals and murderers like Brian Thompson are facing some of that fears themselves and realizing that they are mortal. They're realizing that wherever they go, even if they go on vacation to their fifth house, in the Bahamas, if they are docked in their 200-foot-long yacht ship, if they're landing on their helipad with their helicopter going to work, or if they're working remotely from home, they are not safe. They should not feel safe, because we don't feel safe. And it shows the closed-mindedness of these folks living behind their gated communities, behind their walls with their multi-million-dollar security system, that rather than make themselves better people, they entrench themselves in their power and double down on the evils that cause this very problem. So, it is very hard to have a takeaway here, because vigilante violence, mob violence is not, it's not good at the end of the day. Sure, it's a small W now, but then that mob, the pitchforks come out. You see it in every Frankenstein movie. The torches and pitchforks are out. And you see it now even more with the Trump supporters. They're just in khaki shorts now. And that mob violence can turn on you very quick. So we should not have sympathy for this mass murdering CEO. But we should be aware and cognizant of what happened. And it made me think, what other industries could unite the people if something like this were to happen to them? Again, vigilante violence is wrong, and you should never take matters into your own hands like this. Now, the healthcare industry is so unique in their evils, in that they are positioned in a way that can cause people immense harm and put their lives at risk. So it made me think, what other industries could possibly be comparable where if something like this were to happen, that it would also unite the people? And a couple things came to mind. The first is the banking industry. I mean, you get an intro APR on a credit card now is like 25% starting minimum. And I have good credit. It's like, what the fuck? It's an absolute ripoff. And these people are allowed to get away with it. They're allowed to steal our money for no other purpose than the fact that they were born into money. And we have absolutely no leverage. We have no way to even the playing field. And that's what made Luigi Mangione do this. And then there's the banking industry and, of course, real estate, right? The cost of housing continues to go up. There's these billionaire criminal landlords, these vulture capitalists keep buying up all this property and hoarding it to themselves and raising prices to the point we can't afford anything. So they hoard all this, and we can't do anything about it. We have no leverage. We have no power. And again, without housing, what happens? You end up out on the street. That's not a good place to be. So those are the two ones that came to mind. The only other thing is the social media companies, because they are a unique evil as well. But I think that's going to be, I can't tell if that'd be more of a divisive thing or a uniting thing. Almost went George W. Bush on it. Would it be more of a divisive thing or a unitery thing? I have a shitty George W. Bush impression. But the reason I wonder about social media, because Zuckerberg, Musk, Jack Dorsey, although he's much less public, are uniquely evil people, right? These folks have let Holocaust deniers run rampant. Elon Musk has let child predators run rampant on his website. He explicitly got rid of the team that removed child sex abuse material from his platform. He made that call. Now, why would someone be fans of that kind of material? There is a word for a person like that. I don't know. Maybe we could find it in a PDF file. But I think that at the end of the day, I think social media might be more of a divider, because right now with MAGA attending to the elites right now and just cradling their nutsack and throat goading them, I think that'd be actually more of a divider, because Musk is such a popular figure for some reason with these weirdos. And then with these billionaires, again, I would like this to be a wake-up call for MAGA, is that these people are not on your side. All these MAGA morons that were watching Luigi Mangione, all this stuff unfold, they're like, yeah, get him. Yeah, take it to the power. Hey, cousin, get off my dick and come over here. You know, I don't know why I went this way. But it'd be like, cousin, get up here. Get up here and look at the TV. But I think the wake-up call only extends so far, and that's why so much of this is very what he did with the unification between the left and the right is what's unique. But now Trump is assembling the biggest billionaire cabinet possible. It's going to have the most rich. It's going to be the wealthiest cabinet that's ever been in the White House. Well, not in the White House, but been in the executive branch under well, he's not a president. He's a traitor, but semantics. And I don't know if it's going to be a wake-up call that far for them. I think they're going to have to need a push. Because it's like, hey, you cheered this guy doing all this thing to these billionaires, and then you're also cheering this other guy who is a failed billionaire, had to bankrupt a casino because he's such a crap business person, and now he's installing more billionaires. Like, how do you? I know that MAGA are not the smartest people on the planet, but how do you mesh that cognitive dissonance there? Because they're so mad at these elites, they're so mad at these billionaires, and then they turn around and it's like, oh, Trump assembled billionaire. Okay, I agree. That just, it shows that they can only be pushed so far on one specific incident, and it's going to require more to get them there. But again, the corruption, that's the issue here, is the corruption and the evil of these billionaire class that Luigi Mangione exposed with, like, the healthcare industry. And the Democrats are such idiots. This is why Bernie has such wide appeal across the political spectrum, because he takes these issues on. He takes on the powerful. He talks about corruption. He talks about the billionaires, and he is the only one that has that cross appeal, because he will take that. Well, AOC actually does too, surprisingly. But again, that's because they will take on these wealthy interests. And the Democrats in this election made an active choice to do the exact opposite. Well, yeah, what do you expect? When one guy is saying, I'm going to lower grocery prices, they're going to drop so fast, folks, faster than the submersible going to the Titanic. It's going to drop. It's just going to be a beep, boop, 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 poof, and then it's gone. And the Democrats couldn't capture on that. They couldn't capture on this momentum. You guys were more well-positioned than anybody to do that. But then, of course, Kamala's brother-in-law, or whatever this guy is, basically running her campaign, saying, no, don't go after me. No. You should just make some centrist bullshit. And then, of course, that's exactly what she did. So if the Democrats want to survive, they have to. They have to make corruption and the elites Not the issue. Because that's what we're seeing with Trump. We have more foreign money getting funneled into his coffers. Mark Zuckerberg gave $1 million to his inaugural campaign. Think about this. This guy is so wealthy, he could toss away $1 million to an inaugural campaign while people out here are honestly just trying to afford their bills. How is that the kind of society that we should live in? It's not. And now, again, you really think these billionaires that Trump is appointing are gonna lower the price of eggs? These people haven't been in a grocery store in their entire lives. These are elitist blue bloods that have born into money, absolute nepo babies, never had to work a day in their life, and they get people to buy their groceries for them. You think they can relate to your struggles? Sadly, the economy is going to be in for a big crash with Trump's tariffs. And that is an opportunity. Trump will crash the economy. We are going to have to pay more in groceries, in gas, in everything. The corruption is going to be off the charts. And the only opportunity that we have to beat back this authoritarian, elitist movement is to call it out and to be truthful to it. And absolutely not run a campaign like Kamala Harris just did.